Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Bava Kama Daf Mem Beis. We're going to begin on Mem Aleph Amud Beis, about 12 lines from the bottom by the two dots. Taraban. The pasuk says, "Ubal hashar naki." Now this, as we've been learning already in yesterday's daf, has to do with an animal that kills, and that there's a chiyuv of paying kofar for the person, whether it's the main nizik, the main mazik, as machlokas. Here we have a different dispute. Rabbi Lezer Omer naki mechatzi kaifer. What this is coming to tell you is if it was a tam that killed, then you do not pay chatzi kaifer. Of course, as we've been seeing all along this masechta, in the event that a person has an animal that's a tam that does damage, there is of course chatzi nezik. However, in this case, you do not pay chatzi kaifer because that's what it means. So you're naki. She says, I don't understand. You only have to pay from the goof of the animal. So have you a based in v'yishalmach. So bring it to the based in and they can pay. So basically what's being said over here is it doesn't make any sense. Why would a person even need to use this pasuk to teach us this? Says Rashi, Pshita the potter. Obviously, you don't have to pay when it comes to a tam anything. Not only do you pay chatzi, you also only pay from the body of the animal. So what are you paying? Right? The animal's going to be killed anyway. So the goof of the animal is worthless. It's asur b'hana. So you don't need a pasuk to tell you to be patim chatzi kaifer. It's a davar pashut. Amar Rabbi Eliezer, kachani beinecha. This is what is in your eyes. Shedini b'zeh shechai misa. You're talking about a situation in where this animal is going to be sentenced to death. However, ein dini ella kishehemes as adam al pi eid echad al pi balam. What happens in the event that this animal is not going to be killed? However, there was at least one witness that in fact saw this incident. So as Rashi says, she'enu niskol of a mina, but this animal is not killed, so maybe you should say you still have to pay. That's why you need a pasuk. That's what's coming to tell us, that chiddush. So the Gemara says, one second, ahalpi balim modim kanasu. This is a case of kanas, and we know modim kanas is potter. So the Gemara answers, Ksavar holds kofar kapara, that the paying of kofar is kapara, and therefore, if it wasn't for the fact that the pasuk would be my at this situation, in a situation where one witness comes, or even if he admits to himself, you would maybe think that he should still pay it in order to be able to achieve kapara, even though there is normally a concept of modim kanas potter. Okay, tiny idach. So we learn another brisa. Omer Rabbi Eliezer Kiva, kachani beinecha. This is what is in your eyes. Shedini b'zeh shechai misa. They're thinking about an animal that's going to be killed, and therefore it's worthless. Ein dini el b'mischaven l'hargis b'hem l'hargis ha'adam. This is a situation where the intention was to kill an animal, kill a person, or l'mitzvi b'harg Yisrael, end up killing a yid, or when the fall of a harg ben kayama. We had an intention to kill a nefel, but instead it killed a ben kayama. So in this situation, all these different situations, says Rashi, you'd be part of him skila, as we see in a Mishnah, we'll see later on Daf Mem Daled. But nonetheless, you would maybe think there'd be a din kaifer, no naki from chatzi kaifer. So hey oimer leberesha. Which response did he say first? There was two responses. Either the case of one witness or al pi balim, or the second one over here about nischavon l'hargetzeh v'hargetzeh. So Kahana mishmei the rebel oimer mischaven. That the second statement is actually the first thing that he actually said. Rav Yomi mishmei the rebel omer no hamus armalei bereisha. The other case of hamus, or kishehamus as adam al pi eid echad. Rav Kahana mishmei the rebel omer mischaven armalei bereisha. Why? Why is the mischaven one said first? Mashal with sayid shishoyle dagim in a yam. It's comparable to a fisherman and some guy who is catching fish in a sea, as we continue to Mem Beis Amud Aleph. So Mashkach Rav Reveh, he finds the big fish, and shakel zutri shakel. He takes that. Mashkach ravri shakel zutri shakel. He finds the big ones, he takes them. The small ones, he takes them. Says Rashi. Bereisha shakel, who first he takes the big ones. Mashkach zutri shakel. And then afterwards, if there's smaller fish, he'll continue to take. Even though he said a great proof from the beginning, when he came up with a smaller one, he said that one as well. So therefore, that's apparently, according to him, he feels that Mischavin was a bigger chiddush, a bigger case, and the other one is less of a case. Okay. Rav Yomi Mishav Rabbi Omer Hamas Emily Bereish Mashal inside Shashala Dogam and Yom. It's catching fish. Mashkach Zutri Shakel Mashkach Ravri Shadi Zutri with Shakel Ravri. Actually, what he'll do is once he sees small ones, he'll take the small ones. Once he sees the big ones, he's only going to take the big ones. He doesn't have a bucket to be able to hold all these fish, so he's only going to take the better one. So therefore, again, the question Mischavin L'chayra, according to all Shitas, is considered to be the bigger Chiddush. So, it's not so clear why that's the bigger Chiddush. So look at Rashi on the previous Amud. Mischavan Omer Bereisha, Derai Gedoylhi, Delhai Vadi Itzrach Kra. When it case of Mischavan, that's a bigger Chiddush because that you definitely need a pasuk. Oval Hamas Al Piyid Echad, Raika Tanihi, the Ika. We asked the kasha on it. We can just say pasha. Potter, so it's a kasha. So it's not such a strong raya. Okay, so the question is, how do we compare it to a fisherman? All right, but apparently the case of Mischavin is a bigger chiddush. Okay, regardless, Tanya Idach we learned in a brisa. Balashor Naki Rabbi Yossi Glil Naki Midmei Vladais comes to teach us that you're putter from paying the value of vladais. What is that? So Rashi says, Noga chaseish v'yotzi oladel. If an animal hits a woman who's pregnant and her fetus is killed, she has a miscarriage, you don't pay for the value of the demei vladais. It was a tam. So on this time, we're going to keep a hari oimer ki yanatzu anashim v'nachal yishu anashim v'lo shavarim. We already have a pasuk that tells you. You don't need a pasuk since it's clear it isn't a shore that caused the miscarriage. So Shabbat Rabbi Kiva, he said a good answer. So Rav Ula b'Rei Rabbi Ida Itzrach. We still need a pasuk. When it comes to this drasha of kiyanatzu anashim, men and not animals, hadaymun la'anashim. It's comparable to people. Ma nashim muadim, just like people always a muad, av shvarim muadim. When it comes to a shore, it's a muad. Hatam mechayev. Maybe you would think when it comes to a tam yechayev, kasar rachman abal shor naki de potter, that you're potter by a tam, which is kind of hard to understand. So the pasuk is telling you by muad you be potter. We already know by anashim v'lo shvarim because a man is a muad, so a behema, which is a muad, is potter. But maybe you think a tam is chayev. It's hard to understand, and that's why the question is asked by Rabbi. Yatziva ba'ara v'gira b'shmei shmaya, which unfortunately we see with illegal immigration. Maybe this is not such a kasha, but Yatziva ba'ara v'gira b'shmei shmaya. How's it possible that the people that are, this is just an expression, people that are living in cohabitors, people who are connected to the land, they're considered like outcasts. But the people who are strangers, they get to live in the land. The point is, it's a common expression, which basically means as pumfakert. If we know already that you're going to be potter by a muad, then why would you think you'd be chayv by a tam? A tam is should be less punishable. El Amarabba Israch Takamina Anashim Lo Shvarim Hadam Anashim Ma Anashim Muadim Av Shvarim Muadim. The Kol the Kavachayim Tamad B'tiri. There's no question. Of course, you're right. It's a double portion that if a muad is potter from Demei Vladais, then certainly also a tam. So Hadakas Rachmana Bal Hashar Naki Tam Potter Muad Chayiv. To Taka tell you that it's not true. That Ubal Hashar Naki is saying only a tam is potter, but Taka Muad will be Chayiv. which is unbelievable. So 1 second. Now you're telling me by the Dmei Vladais, their taka is a chiyuv of paying for the Dmei Vladais by Muid. When it comes to one of the 5 things, boishas, nema hachi, you say the same thing. Anashim shvarim hadam anashim anashim muadim av shvarim muadim the kavachayim ulatam in the patiri. There's no din boishas when it comes to an animal embarrassing someone. But why do we say the same thing, Taka? That you'd have to pay, according to Rabbi Yosef, they'd have to pay, a mood would have to pay mammon for boishas. It's true. Listening Bahashor Naki, Rabbi Yosef Omer Patim Umi boishas. Throw that word in there. Obviously, he doesn't hold it. That's all Mamonashach. If you're chayav by the Mevlados, you should be chayav also by boishas. When it comes to a shor, which is a muad. Ella by Bava the Most and Nashim in Anashim. Let's look at Rashi. Before I say this answer, Lahachi Itzrach. This is why we need it. Rabbi Kiva having an Anashim Shvarim. You would think men is excluding the animals. Hachim Midrash Anashim who dechi yesh asain beisha loy anshu b'dmei v'lados. Maybe it's dafka when it comes to when there is a tragedy with regard to a woman that we're not going to pay dmei v'lados the kamei b'ramina. In other words, if not only does the child get killed, but also the woman herself is killed, that's murder. So when a person does this, there's a din of kimei b'ramina, and therefore we're going to kill the person for murder. But that person is potter from paying because there's a din kimei b'ramina. Of a shvarim, if yesh asnun, maybe when it comes to an ox that kills a woman and a pregnant woman, maybe anshu b'dmei v'lados the lekam achia misa kasam rachmana. So maybe in that situation, we would actually be required to pay. So this is how he understands it. Anashim ein asum isha yanshu. If there is no death of the woman who is pregnant, but her fetus, yes, then yanshu. Then you have to pay the money for the mevlados. Yesh asum isha lo yanshu. If let's say the woman does die, we do not require, we do not make you pay because this person is chai misa. V'lo shvarim. When it comes to an animal, even if it does kill a woman, yanshu. Maybe we should make you pay. Maybe we're more strict by shore that you're going to be chayiv if even the woman dies. That even if the woman dies, you still don't have to pay for the money for the dmei v'lados. So maybe that's what the chiddush is. Okay, Maskav Rav Ada. Let's see. I'll make sure I didn't. Okay. Oh, let's just keep going. I probably should have seen a question before already. Maskav Rav Ada Baraba. Atu what? Ba'asan tali milsa. Bekvanim tali milsa. In all cases, there will be a chiyuv of paying dmei v'lados since you had kavana, even though she died. The fatality doesn't matter. So a nashim shvarim, we can't make a diuk this way. It's not totally if she dies or not. Okay. El Omer Ravada Barava Anashim Kinischav Nuzelazeh. When you have men that are fighting with each other, even if the woman dies, you do have to pay. But if the kavanah was to the woman herself, you would not have to pay because, again, the intention in this situation, if there are two people fighting and then they accidentally hit this woman, so then you're not going to have to and she dies, you'll have to pay because there's no chiyuv misa because it was not. It's totally on kavana, and the person did not have kavana to kill her, so therefore it's not a chiyuv misa. So that's why you have to pay. But in the event that you had the kavana to kill her, then you're not going to pay because as it didn't come around because you're sentenced to death. Not so by this. V'lo l'shvarim, not by oxen, it's not so. If he'll nischavnu isha atzma yonshu, maybe even if his intention was to kill the woman, still we would have to make the owner of the ox pay. Because naki the petiri. He brought this a statement in his hands just like this. The Ravada Baraba. Okay, let's slow down. Question 5, because we're about to see question 6. Be'elu ufanim at stricha kra libidor belezer lifter short tam echatzi kaifer lo sag b'svar the emulay mazik havila beis of ishalmoch. So he said on the previous Amud that let's say the animal is not going to be killed, but let's say, for example, there's only one witness, or is al pi balim, even though Moed B'Kanas Potter, maybe we say Kofar Kapara, the Chiddush is that still he would not have to pay if it's a tam, or Nischal Behema Harg Adam to Ki Yaitzabai. So those are the possibilities. Let's see question TA30. No, didn't see that yet. Question TB1. This is interesting. This is really on Mem Alpha Mem Beis. This test starts on Mem Beis. Hashor Habal Shor Naki Rikiva Omer Naki Medemei Eved. Oh, Medemei Eved. Okay, we didn't do that yet. Okay. Fine. We didn't see that yet. Okay. The test starts on Mem Beis from 5 years ago. So the other question was what's the chiddush by Tom being potter from Chatzi Koifer from Baal Shor Naki. There's another drush we'll see. Okay, let's continue. Tiny Idach. Baal Shor Naki, which is over here. You're going to be potter from having to pay the value of the Eved. Okay, this is going to be the question, which is going to be identical to question 6, which shouldn't surprise anyone. The TB tests are always like that. Let's see the question. Baal Shor Naki Midmei Eved. Well, my Isra Kra, well, in Mishalma Magufa, Yermali Mazik, based on Mishalmach, well, Maskana. Exactly the same question, TB1, as question 6. So let's see the answer. Okay. So let's see the question first. Rabbi Kiva Omer Nakum Midmei Eved. So it means you do not have to pay the 30 sloim. So what happened over here? That normally by a muid, you would have to pay, if you killed an eved, the 30 sloim. Not so when it comes to a tam. By a tam, you do not have to pay the may eved. Oh, the 30 sloim. As we continue, members and members. But name Rabbi Akiva. Is that the lashon? Okay, v'neimer Rabbi Akiva l'nafshei, v'lo yatzmin mishtal magufo. When it comes to an animal which is a tam, you'd only pay magufo anyway. The same kasha we had before. So a little based in v'shalmuch. So what do you mean? Just bring him to the based in. That's it, right? This animal's gonna be killed anyway. Some Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yitzchak kishekadam balav v'shachtai. We have a different answer over here. That the owner shechted the animal before. So Ma'odatei, we would think, now that he shechted the animal, with shtalim mine, you should collect from the shore's body. Kamash one, hoyu bar kato, who's going to be killed, after the shachte, even though he shechted it, will shtalim mine, you can't collect from it. Yehachi, or be lezer nami, kishikadam v'shachtai. So, how come on the previous Amud, why don't we say the same thing when he came up with his two other answers? He said it was possible that we're talking about it was Babalim or Neschavla Harga Behema Vaharga Sa'adam. Why didn't he come up with this answer? Hakanami. Hitaka could have. We're going to Chatzikoifer. The Sabar Dilma Islay Taimachrina. The other Mahai. Maybe there's other answers better. The name Rabbi Lezer Nami Lishne the Gemara gave two other answers. Why not this one? So Amalah Chasam who nischav l'hargis behem of hargis adam. When it came to the case of one of the answers we said, which we said was the biggest chiddush, that you'd be potter from chatzi kofer, is where the animal thought to kill an animal killed a person. The shor la bar katohu. Klal. In that situation, the ox is not an animal that's going to be killed because it was intention was to kill an animal. The Sagad Chamin and the Chayiv. So the whole point was a chiddush. You would maybe think taka that you would be chayiv to pay chatzi kofer in that situation because the animal would not be killed. So if the animal's not going to be killed, maybe you would have to pay. It's a krolim mute. So you need a pasuk to say they're not going to be chayiv kofer. But Rabbi Akiva's case above, where it killed an eved, dimikar bar katoa havi, since it killed a person, so it will be killed. Lo tzarach kra afga the shachti. You don't need a pasuk that even though it was shechted, it's of course you can't use it. Rabbi Akiva nam mevadi hachi havi. So according to Rabbi Akiva, what's pshat? Still, it doesn't seem like a logical havamina to think that would be a reason why the pasuk's coming to exclude this case from pottering you from the 30 shloim if it's megufoi. Oh, you shechted it. So what? How would that help? Why would you think that would be a reason to answer the question? Elam Rabasim Hi Milsim Epida Gava Rabba Shemili. This is a great answer I heard from a great person. Manu Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Chanina. So Sagdat Ramina Hoyam Rabbi Kiva Af Tam Shechava Adam Misham B'Moisin Nezek Shalim. He thought as follows: if you have a tom animal that injured a person, that you would pay the extra nezek shalim. So he said this taka is the din. There is a din like this, that if you have an animal that kills, even injures a person, even though it's true, it was only a tom, you still have to pay nezek shalim. So mishtam nami de me eved me aliyah. So maybe so too you'd have to pay the me eved. From Aliyah, not from the Guf. This is broken. He broke this up. So Rashi says, that in that case, since it's a tam, you never pay min Aliyah. You still pay only megufo. So that's not even the whole logic of the Havamina doesn't work because it's not true. The standard he says Beferish on this pasuk, he makes his drasha that even in that case, even in a situation where Tam is Chabal Adam, you'll only pay, even if it is true that Taki pay Nezek Shalim, but you only pay Minaguf. So that you don't need a pasuk to tell us that you would maybe think if it was Shech that you should pay Min Aliyah. El Amarava, we finally get to the answer like this. This is the maskana. Itzrach. Salka dadachamina hoyel umach mirani be'eved yoiser me ben chayrin. We're actually more strict when it comes to an eved than a ben chayrin who's killed. Why? Sheben chayrin yafa sella nice and sella. If you have a person who is worth a sella, then you have to pay the value of a sella. Shloishim again, Sheben Chayrin Yafasel Nois and Sela. Shloishim Nois and Shloishim. In other words, when it comes to a Ben Chayrin, we evaluate the actual worth of that individual. When it comes to a muad. When it comes to paying, let's say again, Demei Nizik, we value the person's worth. The Eved Yafasel Nois and Shloishim. However, when it comes to an Eved, even if it's only worth a sell, you still have to always pay 30. So it makes sense because when it comes to an Eved, we're more strict than a Ben Chayrin, which that in itself is an unbelievable concept. Mishtalim nabdame eved min haliyah. So then you attack and maybe think that you would have to pay the may eved from the aliyah. Kasam rachman bal hashor naki. That's what the pasuk says. Bal hashor naki. So bal hashor naki comes to tell you that even though normally you would think when it comes to a tam, the din is you pay only min haguf. However, since we're dealing with an eved, in which we're so strict by an eved that we always make you pay even above and beyond the value of the person, of the main nizik, the person's value, so maybe you should also have to pay more than the value of the animal. That's the chiddush. So this animal, fine. So that's the point. So let's look at question 6. Let's see how he answers it. Ilav kra havamina the mishal b'dami eved min haliyah. Shekain matzinu shachmir hatayr be'eved miben chayrin. Shenaisan alav shloishim alphabet delay shavakain kamash malon. So that's going to be my last question there. And again, TB1. Let me mark this down. Let's see what I wrote just for entertainment purposes. Michel ben Chayrin. Beglal ha'ish chay, I guess because an ish is chay l'shalom rak ma hu shava, only what he's worth. Well, yosim is that. Gabi eved afil im hu lo shava el rak echad zuz srich l'shalom hakanash shel shoishim. Ma'adatei mishish chiv kan l'shalom in ha'aliyah v'lo meguf. Okay, not the worst ivrit. Okay. Identical question, TA30. I guess this is just a solid question. Balashor Naki, Rikiva Omer Naki Midame Eved, Lumali Kra. So we know the answer. That's TA30. TA30. Okay. That finishes for that, my upcoming test, which is tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem. Okay. Weiter, Tanya Kavasim, the Rava, Balashor Naki, Rabbi Kiva Omer Naki Midame Eved. You don't have to pay, if it's a tam, the value of an eved. Avo dinhu l'chayr it's a kavachaymer hayil the chayb eved v'chayb ben chayrin. We know that there's a chiyuv when it comes to a person who's killed and who's a slave or one who's free. Ma'kish chayb ben chayrin chilachta boy ben talmud mu'id. We make a difference between the talmud mu'id. Afkish chayb eved chayb boy ben talmud mu'id. We make a difference between the talmud mu'id. When it comes to someone who is free, we have to give his entire value. Nonetheless, we still make a difference. So eved even if the eved is worth much more. I can say it this way: even the eved is worth so much more, you only have to give 30. Whoa. That's not how you look at it. Flip it, as we said before. Machmirani be'eved yosim ben chayrin. Sheben, you don't say, oh, well, maybe the eved's worth more. Oh, maybe the eved's worth less. Sheben chayrin yafas sell noisin sell. Shloishim noisim shloishim. However, eved, even if he's only yafas sell noisin shloishim, give 30. Yachi hechayv, you think maybe you have to pay even min haliyah. Talmud learn about shar naki. Naki min mei eved. Tanurban. Behemis ish o isha. So the pasuk says, Behemis ish o isha. Okay. Now, on this, what is this pasuk coming to tell you? What is this adding? Is it to say that a woman and a man are the same? So, we already know that when an ox gores a man or a woman, the din is the same. So why do you need this pasuk? It seems redundant. Just like a man, the the monies go to her children, not to the husband, because he's dead or injured. Av isha nizakel yarsheha. So to the woman, her possessions, it goes to her children and not to the man. But Rabbi Akiva, let's say Rabbi Akiva holds lo yoris lo bal. What do you mean? The pasuk tells us that the husband is yorish. What do you mean? Why would it be that the husband is bypassed by the children? Lasanya v'yorish some ikan shabal yorish asish. Rabbi Akiva himself clearly learns that there's a din of Yerusha but to the husband. So what does this whole thing mean? So Amarish Lakish, actually I'm going to have one more question coming up over here. I didn't realize this. Amarish Lakish, at least maybe some of the question. Okay. So Amarish Lakish, he says like this. Lo Amar El B'Kaifer. This is not when it comes to the paying of the Kaifer money. that the money goes to the Yorishim. Why? Why doesn't the husband yorish the money? Because the only time that the money is paid is only li'achar misa. After that person has died is when the chiv is. V'havli roy. Therefore, that money is fit to be given over. It's not that the money was liquid assets and then the person died and then all the dinim of Yerusha apply. Rather, this money was only fit to be inherited. Ve'en habal noitel b'roy k'v'muchzik. And the husband doesn't take roy k'v'muchzik. So her inheritors get the kaifer money, not her husband, since it came to her only after her death. My time, Omikra behemis isho isha hashor yisakel. The pasuk says it's vehemis only when the woman dies, or the man. The gambal of yumas im kaifer yushas alav. So we see clearly there's only a din of receiving kaifer dafka after the misa. So therefore, since that's the case, the din is you're not considered to be a muhsik. Let's see what this question 7 is. We're going to stop here. Alibid the Rabbi the bechor notel pishnayim b'shvach nechasim deli achim isva koshkein milva. Okay, obviously this is tomorrow's daf. To have a muhsik v'roy im hu adin l'shitaso to make vlados or kaifin have a muhsik obal b'yarishas ishto. So we actually saw half of this. Now when it comes to kaifer, taka we say that it is not go to the husband. Kaifer lo havi muhsik, and we hold the din that ein habal noitel baroy kava muhsik, and therefore when it comes to kaifer, it doesn't go to the husband. Instead, it goes to her yorshim. Ad kan.